Okay, out there, guys, this is my 2018 Chevy Colorado LT model. It's a 4x4 crew cab with a short bed, V6 automatic AC. It's just what I was looking for, except it's not really set up for off-roading. It doesn't have enough clearance. The tires are street tires or highway tires. So I had some plans for it. This is like my project, my latest project here. So I was looking at the rough country lift kit, or I was looking for a 6-inch kit, and I went with the rough country kit. Just the basic kit because I wanted to upgrade certain things to it, like the front struts and the shocks and the brake lines and the bump stops. All that I was going to do later. The rear springs were replaced later. But just for starters, to get me the clearance and to fit the wheels, this is what I started with. Alright, it's Tuesday, and I just picked up my wheels, so I want to make sure they're going to fit. So on this kit, I'm going to install the whole bottom portion of the suspension drops down. The lower control arms drop down, and the differential and axles drop down. The upper control arm stays in place. The tie rods on the steering stay in place, and they do that by changing out this steering knuckle. These tie rods mount higher up so everything else can drop down. This way you don't have a really excessive angle here. This stays where it is because you got a bigger steering knuckle. I got the steering knuckle right here. So, as you can see, the difference between this steering knuckle and the factory steering knuckle. There's your 6 inches right there. Between here and here, the ball joints. The tie rod right here. Where your steering connects to your tie rod is now up here. And I'm not holding this exactly centered because it's kind of heavy, but well, they clear the brake caliper just fine. Now, the reason why you gotta have a special rim with special offset and all that kind of stuff for these lift kits, because the spindles are so big. See, this is the factory spindle. Looks much beefier than the Toyota spindle that was on my Tacoma. It's aluminum. Compare this with the lift spindle that came in this kit. Now I've already got the hub attached because I wanted to try the fit. I wanted to try the fit with the wheels I've got because my wheels aren't quite to spec. They're not the 5-inch offset that's spec'd out for this lift kit. Correctly. It's going to be a tight fit though. That'll roll down the street. Alright, now don't that look better than just plain black? Adds a little character, you know? Got a lot of questions on this lift kit, so this is what it is. I'm installing a rough country 6-inch kit on a 2018 Chevy Colorado. Now, I've heard a lot of comments out there about doing this, but you know, I've got to see for myself. So first thing I can tell you is that everything from in this kit is pretty well made. These are the new cross members, okay? If you look carefully, very well constructed. welded. These parts in here actually interlock, if you can see that. Yeah. Let's see, this is the rear. This is the differential mount, and it actually sets a differential angle on there for the lift. So heavy stuff, very well made. This is probably a 1/4 inch steel. I'll take a look. We got yeah, we got 1/4 inch plate. And like very clean, very fitted up, very nice welds. Well, somebody out there made a comment that rough country lift kits bend. I mean, how is this thing going to bend? This is actually thicker than the factory mounting points where the cross members mount. Okay, this is the other cross member. Very well made. This is heavy duty, but you ought to see the mounting locations of the original control arms. Okay, so let's see how this works. The lighting isn't the greatest because it's so bright out and I'm in the shade, but this is what the lower control arm bolts up to. Not very thick metal. Okay, this is from the factory. This is the factory mounting location. And that's the one in the back, and this is the one in the front. Now I already cut the bottom piece off here because you got to trim this for the new for the drop bracket. Okay, but as you can see, this is not very thick. These things are way thicker material than the factory locations or the factory mounting points. Also, this kit does not have any factory torque specs, and I really need those. You know, it has torque specs in here for all their hardware, but nothing for the factory bolts that you have to reassemble. So I looked online and I found well, first of all, I couldn't find a manual for this truck, being that's a 2018. So I went online to another lift kit company. I'm not going to name names, but there they include on their instruction sheets all the torque specs for the factory bolts, which is cool. So that I had to write all that down, you know. And their instruction kit is basically the same as this. There's a few, it's not exactly, there's a few different things because there's a different setup. The steel and everything's the same. The bracketry is basically the same. Everything drops down. But in their kit they use a spacer lift, or you can get the aftermarket longer struts. And this one here, it does use something like a spacer lift, but it's not a spacer. So the struts are kind of heavy, so I'm not going to be able to do this with two hands. But basically, the rough country kit doesn't use a coil spacer. It comes with a shock extender. Very well made, heavy duty. It clamps over the bottom of the shock and extends it out down to here. Alright, so here's the passenger side. And I'll show you the diff drop bracket. This is the diff drop bracket right here with the tag on it. So that bolts up to here on the first cross member. Goes through there, goes around. Oh, sway bar's in the way there, but then it goes up and bolts up to the frame. And that's originally where the differential bolts to. Let's see, damn. There you go. Yeah, this is where the differential used to bolt to, and this is where it bolts to now. If you look at the BDS kit, it's got a similar bracket. There's the rear bracket. Yeah, so I got to tighten those bolts up. I need to tighten these upper bolts right here up to 120 pounds. Both sides, and then we'll move along from there. And I think what's next is to get those bushings out of the old strut. This is all I'm trying to do is pull the bushing out of there. What a pain in the ass. And then these go in and take its place. You see? Yeah. I got this strut extender all fitted up now, and I'm gonna tighten them up, but first I better check. Are these bolts facing the right way? No, they're not. You gotta read the instructions there, the notes. Make sure the nut's facing away from the CV boot. And I got one side 95% finished. I hope. This is what this side looks like. You know, boy. Everything else looks pretty clean, except this brake line. This definitely need longer brake lines. They supply you with some brackets to relocate that, and I was like, man. I go, even with the location bracket, it hooks up here and extends it down to here. That's still not enough. Unless I've got it wrong here, because right now the wheels are pointed straight ahead when it turns. Look at that. I need some longer brake lines, so that's something. That's just another issue, yeah. As you can see, look at the bump stop is way up here. It's never going to go all the way down there. What's going to happen is the strut is going to top out. Bang! That's an issue. Oh, man, I am tired. I'm wore out. Oh, here's an issue I have with these nuts. I went and bought a 35 millimeter socket just to get that axle nut off, and this thing fits in there tight. I mean, I got it stuck when I was taking them off, so this time before I put them on, I got that nut and I ran it by hand over a file the edges just a little bit so the socket fits a little better, so I can get that 170 pounds of torque on there without slipping off and killing myself, or getting the socket stuck in there and then I can't take it off. I gotta take it back off again, you know. That's the way it fits. Everything clears pretty good. As you can see, now you can see the axle in there. Tiny ass drive shaft. Everything's tight on this side except the adjusters. Got to put weight on it first for it to settle, so the bushings aren't in a bind. So I think what I'm going to do right now is put the tire back on. Try the tire on, and then I think I got everything buttoned up. Front, the rear. Like I said, these are the extension brackets they sell you to relocate the brake lines, but man, that's cutting it close. And that's going straight. When you turn the wheel, this thing's going to want to stretch. And this is full extension though, or full droop they call it, all the way down. Definitely going to need some longer brake lines. My issue is nobody has them for this. Now I can go to a like Hose-Man and have him make me some longer brake lines, but I don't know what the thread is on these things, or what the ends are. I mean, I know the end is I think they call this a banjo type fitting. I think, I'm not sure. So once I put the wheels on and the suspension compressed, the brake lines will look a lot better. But before I go off-roading, that's definitely got to be done. I'll pull these, pop these right off. I don't want anything popping off. Well, there you go. There's the wheels, tires, and lift kit on it. Now it's starting to look like a truck. Holy smokes. If I sit in there, I can see over the neighbor's fence. Oh man. Saturday, 4:30, and this is as far as I'm going to go because it's cold. I got some tools to put away. Damn dogs. Do a little cleanup, and that's what it's looking like. Totally different truck. Holy smokes.